All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So after the fiasco at the track with the fuel filter clogging and all that stuff, I started to ask myself, you know what? I have the Defi display thing. Why don't I just add the fuel pressure, sensor and warning and stuff like that? So that's what I ended up doing. I actually did already have the pressure sensor, and I was just lazy and I never put it in. So I went ahead and I put that in, obviously, and then I also added the boost sensor. Okay, I got I think it's the 3-bar or something like that. I don't know. So if you have the fuel pressure sensor and the boost sensor, okay, the Defi display will tell you the differential fuel pressure. So differential fuel pressure, what it is so in a turbo car, normally what happens is you have an external fuel pressure regulator. Even from the factory, these cars have a fuel pressure regulator, okay? And what that fuel pressure regulator does, it has a MAP reference, or a manifold absolute pressure reference, okay? And what that does is that for every pound of boost that you give it of reference, it'll add 1 pound of fuel pressure. So let's say, for example, your base fuel pressure at idle is 40 psi, okay? And at peak, you're running 20 psi of boost. So then you start at 40 psi minus whatever vacuum, okay? Once you start adding boost and you get to your 20 psi, it'll add 20 psi fuel pressure, so you end up with 60 psi of fuel pressure at full boost. Then that way you're feeding enough fuel to the engine. Well, anyway, so differential fuel pressure is that difference, right, in between your base fuel pressure and the pressure that gets added from boost, okay? So it should be a 1-to-1 or sometimes slightly more. Hopefully, slightly more is not bad. Less is definitely bad, okay? So you don't want it to have it be less, right? And because if it's less, then obviously you don't have enough fuel system, right? You want to be able to, at a minimum, do a 1-to-1. That's what it should be. Most of the times it's slightly more, okay? Because the fuel pressure regulator it's not like a perfect thing. It's not an electronic thing. It's a mechanical little thing. But anyways, yeah. So with that, I'll be able to log it with the Defi. Now, another thing is that, I really like where this Defi, where this system is. Okay, it's when you're driving, this is really at your line of sight, okay, especially at the track and stuff like that. But, in Florida, man, we get a lot of glare. And if you guys notice some of my track videos, especially towards the end of the day, man, the sun is literally right here, okay? And it makes everything difficult to see. And this display is yellow. So as you can see here, we have a lot of glare. This is in the corner. Sorry, this is gonna beep and buzz, but it's just so you can kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Now, this is kind of blinking. Well, actually, no, it's not blinking. So sorry about the beeping, but when it's really bright, this really washes out, okay? So I really wanted to keep this, and I really like it, and I'm not gonna get rid of this particular display, but I did want it to be able to see it clearer, especially on those, really bright end of the day track sessions. All right, so that's what today's video is about, guys. We're gonna be adding or switching out the ZD, the old school ZD, for the new school FD. So this is a slightly bigger display. Actually, now that I think about it, hopefully this does fit in the same spot. Yeah, it'll probably fit in the same spot. So where that one has the old school yellow LEDs, this is a white OLED, and it has a low reflection, so hopefully you get a little bit less glare. It has nice color LEDs here. The one thing that I don't like is that they did get rid of the buttons, okay? So where the ZD has these 2 buttons here, okay, very easy to get to. This one eliminates those buttons, and you have this external button thing that you can just slip on the side, okay? This slips on here, like on the side like this. I may run it like that. What I was thinking was, what if I took out this button, okay, since I don't really use this, and somehow place this here. I still do need my fog light to be working, so I wouldn't be able to use this bracket. And then maybe I can just zip tie this out of the way inside the dash or something, but that would be really clean, and just have the actual display here. So that's what this is about, guys. All right, so let me fiddle with this. Let me get this fitted, okay? And then I'll bring you guys back once I have it all there, and we'll go for a drive. All right, so after fiddling with this for a while, I was able to figure out a way to get this mounted on here. I used some zip ties and like a little bracket from the back, and they're pretty solid, and the wire runs, you know, through there and back to here. I did have to change the mounting. So this is that mount from eBay that it came with, it's like a 3D printed thing. I wasn't able to use the arm because it would just kind of set too high. So I got creative. I had one of those Defi gauge pot holder thingies, but so anyways, yeah, so this is a bigger display, you know, in actual display, and then also an overall size. I do like the older ZD shape better. I think it was a cleaner shape. This is more just like just a rectangle, but it is what it is. The display is much better. So yeah, I think overall that's the cleanest that I can get it while having it a line of sight. You know, if I didn't track this car, honestly, I probably wouldn't have it there, and I wouldn't have that there either. I'll probably just have it here, you know what I mean? And just let the warnings kind of do their job. All right, so let me show you what this looks like. Sorry, it's gonna beep like crazy. So sorry about that, because I have the fuel pressure warning. So right now it's telling me about the fuel pressure. But yeah, so this looks nice and clean. That display's definitely much brighter for sure. So let me shut this thing up, and then let's go for a drive, and I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like from a POV. All right, so this is a similar situation that happens at the track, not quite as bad, but the weather's been really bad, so I'm just taking my chance here. But yeah, so the sun will be a little bit lower, a lot more glare, but you can kind of get an idea. Right now, I don't know if this come through camera, but the display to me is really, really clear. There is a little bit of glare, and I can actually see a shadow of like the steering wheel and like my hand moving across it, but I can still see the numbers really, really good. And then if I do a pull, I can really see those red LEDs. Let me change. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change one of the settings. I'm gonna probably change the boost. So let's see. I'm gonna change the warning for the boost to something low. Okay, so you guys can see what it looks like and sound like when a warning goes off. So 21 pounds should be more than enough to kind of set it off. Okay. And then let me change to a channel, a view that has boost. So right now I have boost over here. Let's see, I have boost right here. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it with boost over here so you guys can get a good view of it. Okay, so hold on a second. Got some traffic over here. The green LED, and then you get the channel lighting up in red. Let me try it again. It's also louder than the ZD. That's hard to ignore. That's definitely, I think that's gonna definitely catch your attention at the track. Now, I think the real test would be with the windows open. So let's try to do that with the windows open, as it would be at the track. I've got all the windows open, so you're gonna get a lot more wind noise. Still, okay, definitely hear that, no problem. Yeah, so I can definitely hear that, no problem. Okay, so I just pulled over to kind of give you guys a better look at this. So again, I got the button there. So this is kind of how I set it up. I'm still kind of playing with it. You can actually change some of these. You can have a full channel on the top, or you can split it into two like I have these. So it's pretty versatile. So some of the pages, they're a little bit more strict, or you know, they don't allow you to change everything. Like for example, it doesn't let you do a single big channel here at the bottom. Okay, so like on my track page, this would be my track page, I think, where I have water temperature, oil temperature, and I would rather just have a single channel with oil pressure there, but it won't let you. So at the bottom, you have to have two separate channels there for some reason. So, but anyway, so yeah, so this would be my track display, where I have fuel pressure and oil pressure. Now, keep in mind that anything you have in this little box, okay, when you start to record, so if you have this, if you press the record button here, okay, this will start to record. Okay, so then you see that, so immediately that little box goes away and it gets hit by the record button. And then when you go to play, so if you slide this down to play, okay, and then you hit play, it'll also give you a timer. So, you know, either way, that channel gets covered up by this new display, okay? So now, in order to avoid that, if you have a channel here that you do want to record, what you could do is just put it in a different page in a different spot, okay? So if I wanted to see fuel pressure in the previous one, it was covered up, but now here I can still see it. And when I play it, when I put this back into play, now I can see my fuel pressure, no problem. So it doesn't override the channels, what I'm saying, okay? Now the other thing is, you also have peak and hold, okay? So all the channels will do peak. It'll do the same thing where this channel, it'll show that it's in peak mode, okay? But I can still go through my pages, okay? And all the peaks are recorded, okay? Now, if I press peak again, so now if you're looking at oil pressure, I have a peak of 98. If I press peak again, okay, it's gonna show me the lowest that it saw on this, and I believe it does the same thing on fuel pressure. Yeah, so fuel pressure is also the same. So let's take a look at the upper peak. So upper peak 73, and then the lower setting 32. So it's kind of cool that it does that. And then if you want to reset it, then you press here, and then it resets all the values. Okay, so pretty, you know, I think it's a good alternative if you want to keep the car more of a period correct, okay, but you still want to have some of the, you know, some better displays from the modern era. Again, I do like the shape of the older one better, okay. And again, if I didn't track it, I think it would be totally fine to be put here or here, something like that here. Whereas mostly out of the way, and you let the warnings just do the thing. It's very loud, not extremely loud, but it's loud enough that you are gonna hear it, okay? But for me, for the track, I do like to, you know, be able to take a glance at, you know, the things that I need to, which is the water temp, oil pressure, and stuff like that, because let's face it, that gauge is complete, you know, useless, okay? All right, guys, well, there you have it. If you're still watching, then you're definitely like me, and you like the little cool JDM gadgets and gizmos that we can add to these cars. I think that's a big part, well, at least for me, man, that's a big part of the 90s, 2000s, you know, tuner car experience. You know, it's all these little gadgets, all these little things, trinkets that you can add, you know what I mean, that add a little bit of spice, and can definitely make the car feel completely different, you know. On the next Evo video, we're going to be taking the car back out to Homestead Miami Speedway, trying to do a redo on that last outing that I had, and really try to push this car. I really believe the car has 35s in it, so let's see what happens. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.